problem with looking at Facebook Marketplace and being like, oh, I need this, and then getting sucked into like a day full of doing nothing but buying crap off of Facebook. But this one's really good. So I'm gonna roll up right now to a storage unit. This guy has a set of extremely rare tires for sale that I absolutely need for this truck. So we're gonna roll up right now. I'm gonna pick these things up. I really hope they're as good as they look in all the photos, because these things are pretty much perfect. So see when we get there. All right, guys, I just got back to the shop with one of my favorite purchases on Marketplace for sure, which some people might think is really dumb, but it's just good. And some of you guys that are real like old school OG purists would really appreciate this, because it's the most proper tire setup I've ever seen. So here we have the Bullnose, and rightfully so, in the bed of this thing are a set of pristine, and when I say like pristine, they are literally pristine KO1s. KO1s, baby. I'm so hyped on this. And they're in fantastic shape for being well over a 10-year-old tire. I mean, these things are perfect. They were stored inside. You can see they have tons of tread, probably 75+% of tread life. And they're in super, super good shape. There's very, very little cracking at all. You can see little hazes of cracking on them, but overall, these things are in super, super good shape. And they even gave me an extra Outlaw, so now I have a matching 5, because I have a 16.5 set of Outlaws. I have a full 16.5 set of Weld Sidewinder wheels, and then I even have a bunch of these 16.5 Steelies, but these are junk to me. So we're gonna break out the OG setup. So this thing used to have, when I first built it, it had a set of Weld Sidewinders on it. Now they're a 16.5, 8 lug, 10 wide setup, and they were originally 8 on 170. Now, JC Wheel and Tire right next door to me, who's gonna mount up these things, he actually offers a wheel re-drilling service. So if you're local in Southern California and you have a set of wheels that were within 13 millimeters of a lug spacing that you desire. So 8 on 6.5 is what all of the older Ford trucks are, and the newer ones went to 8 on 170. So 8 on 6.5 is the same thing as 8 on 165.1, which is within 5 mils of 170, which is the newer Super Duty lug pattern. So JC next door actually has a full mill that he can re-drill and slot them, and then has the countersunk caps to go ahead and re-drill the lug spacing, which is how I ended up taking these 170 wheels and converting them over to the older style 165. So that's the service that he offers. I'll show you that, and I'll have him explain that a little bit more, but that's already been done on my wheels. So they are still a 16.5, which is the only downside. I'd love to have a 16, I'd love to have a 17. Unfortunately, I got stuck in the middle, but these are rare enough wheels that they're hard to find in any spec, let alone 8 on 6.5. So I kind of got to work with what I have, but I was lucky enough to find these tires. So we got 2 broken Panther platforms I need to get the hell out of the way, because we got to pull our welds out of the back, and then we got to pull these beauties out of the truck. So let's get into it. Man, I don't know what we're gonna do with this dang thing. It does have a blown head gasket. It still runs perfectly fine, but it's been sitting so the battery's dead, so I gotta push it every single time. These are the welds. These are one of my favorite wheels ever produced, and I am so disappointed they don't make these anymore. I wish they made them in an 18.6.5. I really, really wish that they made these in an 8 on 6.5 with a 17x10 spec, because that would be like my favorite wheel. I put it on everything. Unfortunately, they don't, so the only option is me to cut the center out and make a 3-piece 17-inch later on down the road, or work with the 16.5 tires that I have. All right, man, it looks like absolute 16.5 heaven right here. I've got like every proper tire you'd ever want. So Vortrac is the only company that makes a brand new tire for a 16.5. As you can see right there, this is the proper 33-12-5 16.5 that you can get for any 16.5 inch wheel brand new. The only downside, as you can see, these are on a truck with a pretty bad toe and camber wear, so they're pretty much donezo. So they're on their way out. And as you can see on the KO1s, they're still perfectly brand new. So that's what's gonna be going on this thing. So if you wanted to actually have a set of 16.5s and you wanted a brand new set of tires, you can go ahead and grab these. These are you can actually go on and find these, and these are a 16.5 Vortrac, and you can buy these things. The only downside about them is they're about $500 a piece, which is why nobody buys them, because they're about the only company other than like military Humvee takeoffs, which the Humvee takeoffs are 37s. So any 33-12-5 16.5 that is pretty much of my knowledge, unless you guys know anything else, let me know, is the only tire you can still buy brand new that is made for a 16.5. That's a 33 install tire. So either way, these things are pretty much roached. I do have another set of 16.5s. I'll probably hang on to these just as rollers to mount up on those. A set of Outlaws, which is what was on this thing when we picked it up. I'll overlay a shot if you guys don't remember. It was on a full set of these wheels. So these things were on it all the way around. Robert, who was nice enough to sell me the tires, gave me one of his spares. So I have a full matching set of 4 with the proper spare. So I should be able to make a nice little setup here. So I want to bring these things over to JC, get these dismounted, start repolishing them, because these are supposed to be completely polished. We're going to refinish these and make them look pretty dang good. All right, just rolled over to JC next door. So you can see he's got a good selection. It's funny, these are off of Dave's Six store. You can come grab all this used stuff that he has lying around. Ironically, he has these, which is off our buddy Mitch's truck, and these are also a 16.5. These are a set of Outlaws. These are a really pristine set, but these are like 37s. I don't even know where the tire size is on these, but look at these bad boys. These things are legit. So you can actually buy all this stuff. This is all used. There's another set of welds. I think these are Typhoons, if I remember right. Correct me if I'm wrong, but full set of used tires over here at JC's, and if they're not the correct lug pattern, he can put them in his mill and actually resize those to fit, which is pretty rad. But these are what was on the Six store. 40, 15, 522s. That is a rad tire. That's a gnarly tire right there. And this thing that sucks always is on these things, their tread is totally fine, but you can see right here, our date code right here. So if you don't know how to read the date codes on these tires, the last two, so that says 04. So these things are 20 years old and they still look brand new. But the only downside is all the dry rot from them just being older and not lasting. So these could go on a regular truck, it's not a big deal, but the Six store weighed, I think, almost 9,000 pounds and it was about 30 feet long. And it was also massively in the air. Probably don't want to put those on it. So we got a brand new set for Dave's truck. But if you're interested in any of this stuff, he always has used tires out front. You can check him out locally here in Southern California. It's a good tire shop, really good guy. And then there's the tire size on these for those of you guys that were wondering. This is a 38, 15.5, 16.5. That's a super, super wild size. Steel belted radial. This is it's a Denman Groundhog. That's a wild tire. So I don't know what it is. I have a weird thing for like old school wheels and tires, and I appreciate that stuff. So I'm sure a lot of you guys do as well. You've probably seen these in the 80s and 90s. It's cool to see them coming back in style a little bit, but not a bad setup for sure. Behind me I have one of the rarest and most iconic wheel and tire packages that you could possibly put on a truck like my Bullnose or even the F100s. And it was a wheel and tire package that pretty much ruled the 90s and is one of my favorite to this day. Now I've been searching for this wheel and tire package for years now. And I was lucky enough to come across this set and couldn't turn this down. So that being said, let's get into what I have behind me because you guys are not going to want to miss this. This is going to be one of the coolest wheel and tire setups I've ever put on a vehicle, and I cannot wait to jump into this. Let's get into it. All right, so we've got these things dismounted, and as you can see, these are actually a three-piece wheel design, which is really, really cool, and they're epoxy sealed in the center. So when I was talking earlier about running a 17-inch barrel, what I want to do one day is dabble into this a little bit and customizing some wheels. And you can see where the lip is right there, and then it's a factory seal in here. I can technically cut all the way around this, pull this barrel off, and then this machine face on the lip underneath this barrel, I can actually machine out hardware holes and I can put a different size barrel on this. So instead of running the 16.5s, I can move up to a 17. With three-piece hardware, it would be like a one-of-one super dope set of wheels, but that's a project for another day. And you can see right here, this is a 16.5, not a 16. And these are a real set of welds, and overall, really badass set of wheels. But the finish on these things has seen better days. So I'm gonna go ahead and put these things on a stool. I'm gonna cut the valve stems off. That's actually why we pulled the tires off, so I can go ahead and polish these without the valve stem in the way. So I'm gonna put these on the stool, show you guys how we get these things nice and pretty again. Alrighty, so little crappy Harbor Freight stool. These things are probably good for about anything but sitting on. And these make a perfect polishing station for you guys to go ahead and do these wheels. So as I sit here and have a grinder inside here, that's gonna basically rotate this thing around and make it super easy to buff this thing out. I'm gonna go ahead and cut these valve stem caps out, or these valve stems out, because we're gonna replace those. All right, valve stem is out. I'm gonna go ahead and degrease and clean these things, and then get out the grinder with the rotary and some mag polish to make those not look like crap. All right, I'm not gonna say I'm a professional at this by any means. I'm sure a million people will tell me I'm doing this wrong, which is fine because I'm learning as I go, but I have done this a time or two. And I did this in the past. Essentially what I'm doing is I'll just take a bunch of rubbing alcohol on a rag just to clean the basis of all the grime and gunk off of this thing. And that will just get most of the surface dirt that I could care about off of the wheel. So I'm not just spinning it in circles. Now this is probably gonna take a couple tries. And this is just a very basic, nothing fancy. This is literally like some CVS pharmacy rubbing alcohol. And I'm just gonna take that to get all the grime and dirt out of here. And from there, after that is done, essentially you would wanna sand these most of the time, but these ones have already been polished before, so I know they're not that bad. I'm gonna be using this. This is just a Mother's Mag polish. It's nothing too crazy. You can get this at any hardware store, any auto parts store, they have this stuff. I'm using this on purpose because it's not some crazy online thing that only detailers have. It's something a little more brand specific. Now I'm just gonna spread this directly onto the wheel so it doesn't flick completely everywhere. Once you put it directly on the pad and then you start going, the pad will flick this literally everywhere. Like I said, a million different ways to do it. Doesn't really matter. And then this is a rotary polisher. So this is basically a big ass grinder with a wool pad on it. And what that'll allow me to do is I put my foot here is it rotates in one direction, not a random DA like a regular polisher, a random orbit DA. This is a straight up grinder. So these things can do some damage. They can break your wrist. Be very careful with them and learn how to use them and understand them. Okay, I am obviously gonna keep going and I have a long ways to go, but you can already see what's coming out of this. I'm trying to avoid sanding this. It's what I really don't wanna do. I really don't feel like sanding this wheel, but you can already see the difference immediately off of like one little baby pass. If I could keep the thing in frame. So I'm gonna go through the whole thing. If I need a Scotch-Brite or scuff for sand anything, I will, with 1000 grit or whatever. And then I'm also gonna lube up this so it spins a little easier because it does not wanna spin. So we're gonna make that thing spin. So yeah, I'm gonna get after it. So this is already a lot better, but I can still see a lot of haziness, so I think I need a more aggressive pad, and I actually would probably need to sand these, which is super dope. So I'm gonna work on that, and then I gotta do all the spokes by hand. Those are not gonna be something I'm gonna be able to do with this big thing. So I'm most likely going to wet sand these and get all these pits out, and then come back and do one final polish.
What are you doing?
Rubbing my rim. Rub it up, baby!
Hey, take your foot off and do that. Working smarter, not harder. Alright, stop. Alright, stop. Alright, stop. That's gotta be scripted, bro.
Look at what I did.
Aren't you proud of that?
Better than you.
Yeah.
It took you 20 minutes and you couldn't even get 2 inches of
You
it.
showed up and did my last pass and made it all perfect.
Oh, your last pass is crazy.
No,
I've been doing this for 2
you
hours.
Put that hand down.
There's still some pits.
There's no documentation that says that. Marty, did I not just do this wheel?
You did.
Yeah, you did the last pass.
Is that?
That's not the last pass. You still got like 2 or 3 more passes. Look at all this pitting. It's shiny, but there's still pitting. You need another pass.
Why couldn't you
Maybe
get
2.
that out on your pass? I thought you were so good, Craig.
I didn't
Master
say.
of everything. I'm the Craig 909. Watch me turn this into this in one simple step.
I'm the Craig 909.
You go
I'm
like
really
this.
good at turning stuff that runs into stuff that doesn't run.
Montage. What? This? Oh yeah. Yeah, you did that, didn't
You
you?
guys suck, you know that?
Thank you, Frank. That one's all yours.
Everyone's got these 2 idiots in their shop. Everybody.
Hey, well, at least you work on your cars, right? Don't let them sit for
Polishing
a
your
couple
wheels.
minutes.
Watch
Oh, these are
yourself.
his?
Yeah, they're
You
his.
had me doing work for him?
Finish.
What the hell? I thought these were yours.
Yeah, finish
That's
that.
the only reason I touched it.
No, I wouldn't be caught dead running 16.5.
I wouldn't be caught dead like
can't
somebody
get
like me
tires.
work on wheels like that.
Yep. All right. Cue the montage.
All right, ready? 1, 2, and 3, go. Yeah! Grab it. No, come on. Keep working. No. I'm not going to dump anything on it. I'm not going to f with you, I promise.
My alcohol! Literally, my rubbing alcohol on the floor.
What is that? Hashtag bring back the mullet. Craig, how old are you again?
7.
Yikers.
can't get it to rev, I can't get it to idle. Now it's fine. Nope. It's not responsive. Like, that's floored. Goodness, dude. And it's fine. Oh. I'm glad I can finally catch this shit on camera. This is so frustrating. I cannot figure out what this is. That's fine. Stops are what's gonna be rough, because getting going, especially on a busy street like this. Okay, it's working. We have speed, we have momentum, and we have a red light. Damn it. Just gonna baby it. It's gonna be real nice to it. Hit all the green lights. You can feel it like already hesitating a little bit. I'm in traffic. Please work. Oh, we're good so far. Still good. Oh, not good. Nope. Stop. Come on. Nobody around us knows that we're having like a catastrophic failure right now, and all is well in the world. But this sucks. It's gotta be fuel pressure at this point. Marty said there's zero smoke coming out of the truck, so he's pretty positive it's a lean condition. If it was electronic, then it would throw black smoke because it would cut ignition and it would throw raw fuel out the back of it, and it's not. So we're kind of gonna backtrack and look at the fuel system again. It's not happy. So we're just gonna limp it to the lake. Oh, that's great. We're gonna make it. We're gonna make it. Busy ass intersection. And it's dead. Oh, we made it through the intersection. And now it's fine. Are you kidding me? What the? Oh my, it's like, yeah, you know what? I'm almost gonna kill you and then I'll let you have it. It's fine now. This thing has such an attitude for a truck that I pulled out of the grave. Be nice to me. I put a lot of money into you and you're not worth anything. This came out so perfect. I cannot even put into words. When I first started this project, this is exactly what I had in my head, but at the time you can't just go to a tire shop and buy these, let alone the wheels. So I had to outsource and find the wheels, which I found at a swap meet when it was pouring rain. For $300, I found these welds. I had JC re-drill them for me, which is a service, like I said, that he offers at his shop, and got them to the spec that would bolt on this car. From there, Michael had a takeoff set of tires that he gave to me when he made his truck a dually, so I just had some hand-me-downs to get the thing on its feet. Now, fast forward to now, I was lucky enough on Marketplace to find these very rare at this time. I know they weren't rare at one point, but now they are 16.5, 33.12.5 KO1s that are in pristine shape to go on this truck to complete what you see here as what I think is the pinnacle of the ideal bullnose aesthetic, unless you were four-wheel drive with like a poverty cap and a steely and like some sort of a super lug, or four-wheel drive skinny tall tire setup. This is if I had a truck in the 80s or 90s and I bought it brand new and I wanted a little bit of aftermarket with a little bit of class, that's what I would want, right?
and it looks so good. I'm very, very happy with it. I'm very, very proud of this truck and the way it's came. You know, I'll put some shots of this thing when we picked it up in my grandma's house. It sat there for 20 years with a blown transmission. This thing had an AOD in it, and the third and fourth gear band had broken. My uncle had parked it there 20 years ago, over 20 years ago, and it sat there and rotted, where me and my buddies came up and in 4 days got the thing to drive literally out of its grave and drove down to my shop, where we then manual swapped this thing with a ZF 5-speed and all of the stuff that you see behind us. Obviously an immense paint correction. This is still the original paint. Nothing has been touched. It's just been cut and polished. From here, I don't really think there's much I want to change to this truck. In my eyes, like I've said 600 times, perfect as I can get it. We've got some interior bits, but as I look at it on this setup, man, it would be cool to have some old school KCs on the front of this, and possibly even 4-wheel drive convert it with a good factory setup to where it's not too crazy, but it's still proper. It's still, you know, we're not going overboard. We're not putting massive ugly wheels on it and lifting it to the sky on 39s or 40s or anything crazy like that. I think this is like a proper grandpa truck that I can just kind of cruise around town, and it's my nice, pretty shop truck. I don't have to beat on it. It was already really straight from the beginning. And from here, I can take care of it and make sure that it has a long life afterwards. All right, the one thing that I did notice about this thing, unfortunately, as on our drive over here, I experienced, but it breaks up real bad. And I thought I fixed it in the last video where I replaced the computer, but I think we might have another problem. And I'm trying to start believing that it's not electronic and it's actually a mechanical issue, because this thing breaks up horribly to the point where you see it right now is where it died. I pretty much, just for fun, as it was idling, just floored it to see if it was a throttle related issue, and it cut all power and it just died where you see it, which I still don't really understand, because everything electronic to run the motor as well as mechanical to run the motor has been replaced. The only thing I haven't replaced, and I've eaten my own words before saying this, we did not replace the fuel tank in the truck, we just cleaned it. What Marty and I were talking about is maybe it is low on fuel pressure, so I think we need to put a fuel gauge on this and see. But yeah, it is not running good, so I gotta find that. But like I said, still a work in progress. It's never gonna be perfect, but in my eyes, right now, aesthetically, it pretty much is. We'll give it that. So I hope you guys wanted to enjoy this video. I'm super happy with this. It just makes my little kid inside smile when I see this thing, especially seeing it from when I was this tall as a little kid going to grandma's house, and this was what was in the driveway. So overall, really, really proud of myself and my amazing group of friends that have supported me along the way, getting this thing to where it is now. I appreciate all of them, because without them, you wouldn't see this where it is right now, and you wouldn't be seeing this video. So really do appreciate all those guys, and I appreciate you guys watching, grabbing the merchandise and supporting us to allow us to do what we do. So with that being said, grab your merchandise on 909speedcompany.com. We have the Patreon up here for you guys to support and check out that. We have a lot of exclusive stuff on there you won't see on here. And we have a bunch of cool projects and secret projects that are gonna unveil there first, some of which will only be there. So go check it out. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye guys.